So we're going to go ahead and start with Unit 4. With Unit 4, this is probably one of my favorite units to work in because we start looking at expressions, which will eventually lead into equations, and that's all part of algebra, which is my favorite kind of math. But all math is pretty cool. So in Unit 4, we're looking at simplifying expressions. You can see our goals here are to apply order of operations to simplify expressions. And remember from previous years, I know we've mentioned this in class before, but order of operations is just PEMDAS. So let me change our thickness here. So PEMDAS or BEMDAS, where the P is parentheses, or brackets, or those fancy ones, which you probably won't see a lot, braces. E is for exponents. M is for multiply and divide from left to right. So remember that these two kind of get paired together. And these two get paired together, that's add or subtract from left to right. So whichever comes first, left to right. That's kind of our basic order on how to do anything. So why do you always perform operations from left to right? How can you use the operations? Triangle to remember which operation comes first. And then we'll go right into our lesson. Those are just some questions for you to be thinking about. So your warm-up, and this is also listed in our Moodle course. If you did the online lesson, then you probably saw this. Isabella's teacher wrote the following problem on the board. Can you help her solve it? 3 plus 7 times 2. Now, if you were just looking at this problem and you just solved it straight away from left to right, then you would not be using the order of operations because technically we need to multiply before we add, okay? Just based on our order of operations. Because if we just did everything from left to right and then some people did order of operations, then everyone would end up with different answers. So this kind of baselines all math for us. Isabella used the order of operations and got the answer of 17. So she used PEMDAS. And when she checked her work on her calculator got an answer of 20. Why is the calculator wrong? So we know that 17 is right. So you have to explain what mistake the calculator made. So go ahead and pause here. Think about it for a second. And then when you're done thinking, you can unpause so you can hear the answer. So what Isabella was doing, she did get the correct answer of 17. She followed the order of operations. And if I were to follow the order of operations, I'm just going to write them out right here. I like to write them like this. That way I remember that multiply and divide are together and add and subtract are together. So are there any parentheses? Nope. Are there any exponents? Nope. But there is multiplication. So that's what I'm going to do first. 7 times 2. So I'm going to do 7 times 2 is 14. And then I still have to bring this down. And this is the part that gets tricky, especially with long problems. You have to bring down whatever step you didn't do already. So you can't get crazy and try to do 10 steps at one time, especially if they are not the same operation. So do not get ahead of yourself. It's very easy to make mistakes. And then we did our multiplication and division from left to right. And now there is addition left in the problem. So we're going to do that last. So 3 plus 14 is 17. Boom. Look at that. Pretty simple. So we already knew she had the right answer, but that's why she had the right answer. So why did her calculator get 20? That's what you're going to explain here. Why did that calculator get 20? Well, if this is the right way to solve it, if I just type something in on the calculator, let me just pull up a calculator and show you. All right, so our problem was 3 plus 7 times 2. So I'm going to do 3 plus 7. Okay, that's the first thing. I'm typing this in the exact same way our problem was. Times, see what my calculator went ahead and did? My calculator went ahead and it calculated what 3 plus 7 was without me hitting equal. So if I click times 2, like the rest of my problem says, That's 20. And what did her calculator get? Well, if we go back to her notes here, her calculator also got 20. So what her calculator was doing as she was typing things in, it was going ahead and solving each individual operation whenever she added a new operation. Not all calculators will do this. This is a calculator on my iPad. A calculator on a phone would probably do this too, not follow the order of operations. If you use a scientific calculator, depending on how you type some things in, they'll do basic order of operations, which is nice, but I would not trust it with your life. So when you're typing things in on the calculator, please get in the habit of writing down your steps and solving it step by step. That's really important because calculators can be a little misleading sometimes, even though they are very beneficial. So that is what her calculator did. Her calculator did the whole problem from left to right. Didn't do their multiplication first. They did addition first. Okay, so that's on page 6. We're going to go ahead and click to page 7 in our workbook. And I've just uploaded these to a notes page so I can write on them. So simplifying expressions, it says use the space below to record notes while reviewing your online lesson. So that's in our Moodle course. So you would have to log in to do that. But these notes here just say always follow your order of operations while simplifying your expressions. And that video is going to help you fill out this page. So I'm not going to do it for you because I do want you to watch this and do the lesson online. Okay, the more practice you get, the better it's going to be. So I'm going to go ahead and you can pause, watch the video, fill out your notes on page 7 in your workbook. And then we're going to move on to page 8. Well, actually, we're going to skip a few pages. This is not page 8, sorry. The next couple pages in your notebook are an activity. That would be, of course, this workbook was written whenever we were planning on us all being in person and enjoying our time together, learning together. But some of these activities are really hard to do virtually. So this activity was actually a game that you're supposed to play with a partner. Unfortunately, can't do that. But what I've done is I've pulled up these practice problems, and we're just gonna go through a few together. I'm gonna go ahead and at the top of my page just write PEMDAS, just to remember that all these problems are supposed to be solved with our order of operations. They do get a little tricky, okay? Notice as you look from top to bottom, the ones near the end get a little more advanced, especially K down there. K's got a lot going on, and I, okay? So let's do a few of these, and then in your own time, especially if you need more practice, do some more. The answers are on the bottom of your activity in your workbook, so you can check your work. But it is very important that you are practicing these, and if you want to practice some with me that I haven't done in this video, just let me know. So I'm going to switch my color up here for a second. Let's just start with A. 3 times 10 minus 2 minus 10. Okay, according to PEMDAS, I got to start with my parentheses. So I'm going to do 10 minus 2, which is 8. Again, like I said earlier, you don't want to go ahead and try and do multiple steps at once. You want to go ahead and bring down the rest of your problem so you don't lose anything. Okay, parentheses are gone. I have no more parentheses from left to right. I have no exponents. I do have multiplying. I don't have division, so I can just solve from left to right now. So I'm going to solve my multiplication. That's 3 times 8 is 24. Minus 10. Okay. And my minus 10, notice how I'm just kind of lining these things up. If you need more space, I know this worksheet does not provide a whole lot of space, especially if you're a bigger writer. That's perfectly fine. Grab a piece of notebook paper, organize your work, just so you can see what you're doing. See how I kind of write things underneath? Like once I got rid of this 10 minus 2, it became that 8, so I just put it underneath where it was. This 3 times 8 became 24, so I put it underneath where it was. That just keeps my work in line so I don't lose anything. So now I only have one operation left, so I really don't have to focus on PEMDAS. If you only have one operation, there's no order of operations. You just do the operation. So 24 minus 10, that's going to leave us with 14. And again, you can check your work with the answers. I cut it off on my screenshot here, so you might want to double check me if I'm wrong. Let me know. Thanks. I'm going to switch those colors up here again. Now, let's try a different one. Let's try, this one has an exponent in. I like exponents. And some of us need a little more practice in exponents. So we're going to go through our order of operations. I'm doing n right now. Okay, 10 minus 1 squared plus 4. Okay, so I have no parentheses. Great. Now I have exponents. Okay, remember, this is out to the side here, that 1 squared is actually, oops, writing off my page there, is actually equal to 1 times 1. That's 1 2 times. It does not mean 1 times 2. Big difference. 1 squared means 1 times 1. If it were 1 to the 5th, it would be 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1. And really, 1 to any power is going to be 1. Okay, so if you need to rewrite this problem, or just in your head make a mental note that this is equal to 1 times 1, might be beneficial for you. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite my problem now, because I know that 1 squared is equivalent to 1, because 1 times 1 is 1. Now I'm going to check and see if I have any multiplication or division. None of that. Now I'm going to move on to my addition and subtraction from left to right. So from left to right, I have subtraction first, which is okay because I only have addition left. So I'm just going to solve the rest of my problem from left to right. So 10 minus 1 is 9. And then I'm going to bring down my 4. 9 plus 4 is 13. Final answer, 13. Wow, it would be cool if I could just pick a random one of these and the answer was 12, because then I'd be 14, 13, 12. I don't think I'm that lucky though. Let's try one more. Okay, between I and K, let's just look at I. I looks a little fancy here. So, okay, I've got brackets. These are called brackets, the square ones, which are a grouping mechanism in math. So parentheses also, remember, like I said on the previous page, incorporates brackets and braces. So let's start on the inside of these brackets. So in the very inside of the brackets, I have 8 plus parentheses 6 times 4. So I actually have to solve the 6 times 4 first. I got to get rid of those things on the innermost inside of those brackets. So let's get rid of those. 6 times 4 is 24. Okay, so those parentheses now go away. I'm left with 8 plus 24. And see how I have another bracket here divided by 8. Okay. So I have this part of my problem left. I'm going to mark through that just to show that I already did that. So now, if I'm following my order of operations, I still am in the parentheses stage because I have brackets left. Okay, you don't just lose the brackets because I got rid of one thing inside the brackets. You have to condense everything down first. And that's the tricky part about brackets, braces, and parentheses. You got to do it all to get rid of the parentheses or the grouping symbols. So 8 plus 24 is going to be 32. I had to do that first because it was in those parentheses. Now I'm left with one operation, so I really don't have to do anything special here. 32 divided by 8 is 4. Again, really great if you have your multiplication and division tables memorized. That just makes math so much easier, especially once we get into solving these. And then we have one more page. Again, if you would like to solve all of these, if you want to send your work my way, want me to check it for you, I'm happy to do that. Just send me some screenshots, some photos, and I can do that for you. And then the last thing, this is optional again. If you find that you're really struggling on that skill check and you need just some extra practice, or you just want to double check your work, make sure you've really got it down, this is a great page to do that on in your notebook. It is on page 13. These problems are optional, but if I see that you're struggling on a skill check, we might do them together. Okay, so I'm not going to go over this page with you, but if you do need that outside of this video, just let me know and I'm happy to work with you on this. Thanks guys, I'll see you for lesson 2.